Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. It's National Hugging Day. Tony, have you hugged anybody today?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. The UPS guy, it was awkward.
Yeah, maybe a fist bump.
Yeah, I shouldn't have drawn him in quite like that.
No. Did he have packages?
I was so happy. Like things were being delivered to the house. It made me so happy. So I figured it's National Hugging Day. Why not do something like that? Why not? Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Yankees bring back Cody Bellinger. John Harbaugh and Joe Schoen claim to be on the same page, and Steve Young joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the struggling New York Knicks playing New York's other team, the terrible Brooklyn Nets, tonight in Madison Square Garden. Since winning the NBA Cup, the Knicks are 7-11, including 2-9 lately. They were booed at home the other night, losing to Dallas. And then Jalen Brunson called a players-only meeting. As former Knick Michael Ray Richardson once observed, the ship be sinking. Wilbon, how badly do the Knicks need a win tonight?
Not all that badly. They're going to get one. They're playing Brooklyn.
They stink.
They really do stink. And they're not playing them over across the bridge. They're playing them in Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, where they will beat Brooklyn tonight by 27, 28 points. That's just the way that's going to happen. Right. And it's not going to take any pressure off the Knicks. The Knicks have plenty of pressure. They came into the season with the pressure. Boston is without its best player most, if not all, of the season. The Indiana Pacers, another conference finalist, without their best player all or most of the season. So the Knicks came into this expected to win the Eastern Conference at the very least. And you think I'm showing too much faith in the Knicks?
Well, I just think you're part of a crew that has this drum beat going on that you see on television all the time, that forgets about Cleveland, just ignores Cleveland, ignores Detroit, ignores everything, and ignores the Knicks' history, which is not to win.
History, I'm ignoring that. I'm looking at what they got now, and so is Jalen Brunson. He's looking around. You know who they don't have. And I know you and I agree on this. We haven't talked about it. Tibbs.
That's exactly what I want to say.
Okay, I'll leave that part to you.
Because there is trouble there right now. And the trouble is on defense. And so people look around knowing that Tibbs was a defensive guy, and they say, well, this is what you get when you fire that guy. Yeah. And Mike Brown started off very good. They looked very good for a while. But last year, with Thibodeau, the Knicks were 13th in the league on defense. That's fine. That's good enough. This year, in the last 18 games, they're 29th. They're next to last in points allowed per 100 possessions. They're allowing a tremendous amount of points. Dallas isn't any good. They were up 75-45 at the half.
Legitimate.
So, okay, but here's the other part of the trouble, Mike. Players-only meetings with a first-year coach, that doesn't reflect well on anybody. I believe this, Mike. I believe they won that dopey cup, and they decided that meant something, and I think they're cruising.
I agree with you completely.
What they're doing.
And you know what, Tony? But there are dog days of the NBA, and we are in them.
You talk about it all the time.
We're in the dog days. We're not going to get out until the Super Bowl. It's like the NFL season means something to NBA players. They're going to wake up on February 9 and go, whoa, wait a minute. We've only got 25 games left. The Knicks are going to be okay. I'm not saying they're going to beat out Detroit ultimately in the East. I'm just saying they're going to be okay. Let's move to baseball, where Cody Bellinger will return to the Yanks for 5 years, $162 million. That's a lot. But nowhere near the $240 million for 4 years the Dodgers are giving Kyle Tucker. Overrated Kyle Tucker in my book. The Athletic reports that baseball owners are raging about the size of the Dodgers' payroll and that deal, and will push for a salary cap with 100% certainty. Is this something the owners should be doing?
So, me personally, I think a salary cap is fine, as long as there's a floor. As long as you make sure that teams, and I'll name a few, the Marlins, the Pirates, the A's, the White Sox, the Nationals, as long as you make sure they're trying to be competitive in spending money. And if you want to balance that out a little bit, maybe you make the luxury tax even more punitive than it is right now. But look, I'm not against the Dodgers. I admire the Dodgers. They spend a lot of money, but they spend the money wisely. Rob Manfred is happy with the Dodgers. He has said, we like a great team in a big city.
Yeah, but he represents the small teams,
this is the whole point. He represents all the owners, even the cheap ones, even the dumb ones. Okay, so he's got to be cognizant. It feels like most of the owners are asking for a set of guardrails to guarantee a competitive balance, and they believe that a salary cap will do that. It works in other sports.
It does. At baseball, they've gone without it. And one reason we got to acknowledge is that the baseball union is 100 million times stronger than the other two unions combined.
And they're never going to go for it.
They'll miss a whole season. So I think the Tucker deal is the tipping point. A guy who's never hit 35 home runs, who's never hit 300, and he is now being treated like Henry Aaron? Are you kidding me?
I don't see it that way.
If I'm the other owners, look, by the way.
The Dodgers haven't made any mistakes in the people they brought in.
There's two ways of looking at this. All right?
Well, you're looking
the
at
Dodgers owner, I know, and the Dodgers owner is purple, and I know him.
Here's the problem.
And he has done the right thing every step of the way with his team.
The Mets spent a lot of money
There's two ways of looking at it.
Playoffs. Okay, look. The baseball players are never going to go for a salary cap. They're thrilled that Tucker got this money. They're thrilled when anybody gets this money because they're saying maybe I'll get the money the next time. And it's a shame because baseball's been great lately, and there could very well be a strike. It's in the DNA of players to strike. They've done that
Tony,
before.
This is a lost season coming. If the owners,
the next one,
If the owners truly are 100% certain about the insistence of a salary cap, work stoppage.
There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way to make the floor such that players will say, "I'll live with this." The ceiling may not be here, but if the floor is, it's got to be a way. The New York Football Giants introduced John Harbaugh yesterday as their new coach. He said he was seeking a championship for a great city. Who's going to argue with that? But there's a secondary issue that's interesting. That is that Harbaugh will report directly to ownership, not to general manager Joe Schoen. Harbaugh said, quote, "I think it's overblown the way it works. The main thing is it works, and we work together," unquote. Wilbon, is Harbaugh right that who has the final say here is being overblown?
No, it's not being overblown. I am steadfastly against any sort of coach being the final say. All right? And I know that Parcells has that great line about shopping for the groceries. Yeah. But there was still some guardrails to use
there's ownership. Earlier. Ownership has the final say.
Yeah, but you need a general manager. Tony, it doesn't work. We know this in Seattle, that when the head coach was reduced to just head coach, they went from also ran to winning a Super Bowl and should have won another one. Now, all I'm saying is you cannot have that structure whether you are John Harbaugh or anybody else. I am not having, if I'm the owner, I am not having a general manager who's just a figurehead who doesn't have the say.
What coach are you referring to in Seattle?
I'm talking
Mike Holmgren?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Mike Holmgren.
Okay. Look, so we differ in this. There are great general managers out there, though we cannot name them. We can name great coaches. Andy Reid is a great coach. Sean McVay appears to be a great coach. Bill Belichick was a great coach. Can you name the general managers when they were there? No, you can't. And because it's not.
Well, maybe they were doing their jobs. You don't need to be able to name them.
I believe that ownership always has the final say. I also believe this, that John Harbaugh, when he coached at Baltimore, reported to Steve Bisciotti, the owner. So he is used to this. Joe Schoen, who's the general manager, they're paying Harbaugh $100 million over 5 years. You think they're paying Schoen that? Let me go through this. You know what Schoen's record is as the general manager of the Giants to this point? It's 22-45-1.
Him.
Well, you're saying he's the GM.
You know who?
Saquon Barkley walked on his watch.
Harbaugh also had to answer to, and I know this.
Who?
Ozzie Newsome.
He wasn't there in the last 4, 5, 6 years.
And did he win?
Well,
did Harbaugh win with Ozzie Newsome or without Ozzie Newsome?
He continued to make the playoffs most of the time.
He didn't win. That's why he got fired.
No, you know what I think?
He's out.
Here's what I think about Joe Schoen. I'm sure he's a fine man.
About Joe Schoen.
Well, I do. That question is Joe Schoen. One of the things I think is this. He shouldn't worry. He should understand why Harbaugh won't necessarily report to him, and he shouldn't worry. And when they have a meeting of ownership and Harbaugh and him, he should ask people, do you want coffee or tea? He should be happy to have the job.
We'll revisit this when the Giants
22-45-1
are the new Ravens and underachieving in when it counts.
If John Harbaugh doesn't change them in 3 years, he will be fired. And if they make great improvements, he will get the yes.
Get 3?
3 years. Let's take a break.
All right.
Coming up, how raw will Jarrett Stidham really be when he starts for the Broncos against the Patriots? We're going to ask Steve Young.
We'll also ask him about the degree of difficulty on Caleb Williams' incredible touchdown pass Sunday night. I ain't having that structure. I'm not having it.
You're fine with the GM. Is he the right GM?
I don't know.
45.
I don't know about him. I'm not defending him. I'm talking about the structure. I'm saying John Harbaugh didn't get it done.
You have to have
straight to the owner.
Right GM with the right coach.
Yes.
Pardon the Interruption is brought to you by...
Let's get back into the NFL with our great friend, the man who took my suggestion to tuck and run when he had a lane, Hall of Fame quarterback Steve Young. Let's start with this. Jarrett Stidham of the Broncos has not thrown a pass in a game for 2 years. Is the lack of game action, is it a huge deal, or can it somehow be made up for in practice reps?
No. Like, there's a speed of the game, and we all, guys that played a lot in the playoffs, there's a preseason speed. There's a first game of the year speed. It's more like playoffs. And then there's a regular season. And then there's a, like, first round of play, a second round. By the time you get the championship game, the intensity, the focus, Newt Rockney's famous, right? Because he made a speech and everyone emotionally that's what the championship game brings out, is this intensity that you cannot get ready for even if you played all year. It takes a second to kind of get used to it. And so he's running into a wall, and that's why I'm grateful that Sean Payton's there with him. They've got to be careful, because you lose championship games, any playoff game, you lose so quickly. A couple of bad series, a couple of turnovers, it's over. And so he needs to be very, very careful that he's not the reason they lose. That's his goal, is just don't make, if we lose, just make it not that he's trying to prevent accountability, but just like, I don't want to take away from the team. I don't want to be the reason. If you asking him to be the reason they win, that's Rudy stuff, right? That's Hoosiers. That's insanity, right?
Yeah.
That's Mendoza stuff. No, I'm just kidding. But way too much to ask, to have him kind of lean in a championship game and thrive. You can't do that from a standing start. No way.
Well, it's not too much to ask of Matthew Stafford, presumed MVP, who struggled against the Bears. And Steve, I'm wondering if you saw anything on Sunday night in Soldier Field that Seattle could replicate or do to give him problems again.
Yeah, if it's, -5, with the ball, you saw the ball when they threw it okay, but it was, jumping off people's, it's slick, it feels odd, the cold air, it's just -5 wind chill or whatever it was is different. And so in playoff atmosphere, -5, it was Matthew Stafford in those conditions. And I think he managed through it, which he's a vet. He gets that. And I don't think that's going to happen again. He gets a decent day up in Seattle. Now, I will say Matthew has fought the vulnerability to being the swashbuckler, right? The guy that's going to rip one down and cause a couple of himself. He's been able to manage that out of his game. That's why he's winning Super Bowl and getting to Super Bowls. If he can play that lately, that really kind of buttoned up, classic, beautiful, I learned in a more sophisticated era quarterback football game, he's be tough to beat. Now, Seahawks are all of that, by the way. So, good luck to everybody. But Matthew is all of that. And I back Matthew no matter what. That dude has got it figured out.
Well, he certainly is the quarterback who advanced out of that nice game. But I got to ask you about the fourth down throw Caleb Williams made. You were one of the people I thought of immediately, because modesty aside, not going to let you be modest, you're one of the few guys who could have made that play or something damn close to it in his prime. What did you think? Did it make sense to you? What was your reaction?
My reaction is fourth down. And the second he turned his back and started to run backward, it's one of those, no, because nothing's good's going to happen. It's like, no, then he turned back again. No, like there was 5 no's in a row. And then he kind of squared himself up and let one go. And I'm like, no ball thrown from the 40 to the end zone in the last play of the game in a professional NFL defense is going to be completed. That's not. And then all of a sudden the ball's, he catches it like no one's around. Like, did the defenders just were they already in the tunnel? Did they thought it was over? Like, that play can only work in Pee Wee football. But the physical part of it was amazing. Like the idea that you can turn back 3 times and then square yourself up and throw a ball in the -5 degree. So Caleb's all of that. But the idea that it worked kind of works against the expertise of the NFL. Like, how do the Rams allow that? That's just inexcusable that somebody was just wide open in the end zone after all that.
A quick follow-up. How does someone who struggles with accuracy on sort of regular plays make that play? And the play the previous week on 4th down, how do you reconcile that?
I do relate with Caleb in this way. When you are mobile, highly mobile, you love the game fast. You love it in motion. And the second you get a little time to kind of think it through and watch, your arm and your brain kind of like, well, let's be more careful and more precise. And it's like, in a way, the best throws you ever make are the ones that you don't think about. And that was one that I can't imagine the desperation he felt about that. But the fact that and I think all of Chicago, I hated that they didn't win it because that now the play doesn't get the full measure in a way, right? In history, you can't talk about it the same way. But I think just the stadium, you were there. That must have been one of the all-time moments in athletics. All time. You just like 4th down, no, triple no, yes, like there's no way to say it.
Let me get you out of here on this. I love this. It's a small story, but I love it. Baker Mayfield says he's still waiting for a call from Kevin Stefanski, who he says shipped him off like a piece of garbage. And now Baker Mayfield is looking forward to playing the new Falcons coach twice a year. Were you a chip on your shoulder guy, and did it help you?
Well, first of all, it sounds like what he's saying is he didn't get a call. Like, he didn't even call him, which is, if that's true, that's pretty cheap. That's bad. And do you have a chip on your shoulder? Yes. I would make the differentiation. I call it creative tension and toxic tension. Toxic tension, when you get so overwrought about the anger you have at somebody, and it actually hurts your game. But there is a lot of creative tension, and I think Baker's trying to tap into that. Like, I'm going to see you twice, and I'm going to play better than you've ever seen. And I think in that way, that chip on your shoulder, that creative tension, I like. And I think it could be super cool. And I think it's going to be fun to see how that plays out.
It's great to talk with you all the time. Totally great today. Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Okay. Love you guys. See you.
Let's take one last break. Still to come, Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones make the haul, but did others deserve better?
And are the Chargers the right fit for Mike McDaniel? Not Michael McDonald.
No.
I'm going to be there.
No, but not Mike McDonald from the Seahawks, who was originally from Baltimore.
No more Max.
Not the Doobie Brothers.
You're right.
Michael
I don't want
McDonald.
any more MCs.
Happy time, people. Happy 63rd birthday, Akeem Olajuwon. It feels like Olajuwon has been around forever. He goes back to the University of Houston and Phi Slamma Jamma in the early 80s. Olajuwon never won the NCAA championship, losing to Michael Jordan once in the semifinals, to Patrick Ewing once in the finals, and once most famously to Jim Valvano and NC State in the finals. Olajuwon became the first pick in the 1984 draft, going to Houston, where he won 2 NBA championships. Once where he got some revenge over Patrick Ewing in the Knicks, and once in a 4-game sweep over Shaquille O'Neal when he was with Orlando. Olajuwon played 18 seasons, averaging 21.8 points, 11.1 rebounds, and 3.1 blocks. Here's an obvious choice for the Hall of Fame, and lately, he's been tutoring Victor Wembanyama.
How smart of Victor Wembanyama. If there's all the people in the universe you can go to now
he's way up
to
there.
help you,
he's
way up at the top of that is life.
Way up there. Not so happy anniversary, Jeff Van Gundy. On this day 29 years ago, weeks after Knicks coach Jeff Van Gundy called Michael Jordan a con man, though in context, Van Gundy said it respectfully and with admiration. Jordan scored 51 points on the Knicks and took every opportunity to glare at and shout at Van Gundy after each made basket. This game is known in Jordan lore as the con game. Van Gundy had said, quote, he uses everything to his advantage. He cons them by inviting him to his movies. He cons them with his commercials. He pretends to enjoy guys and befriends them, and all he wants to do is win, unquote. Jordan's coach at the time, Phil Jackson, said, quote, it was a tactical mistake by the coach of the Knicks to attack Michael in the press, unquote. You think?
Listen, Jordan never pretended that all he wanted to do was win. He never pretended that's what he wanted to do. But a night or two before that game, Jordan saw a bunch of us, people in the media you know, and he said, what are you doing tomorrow night? I don't know, I'm going to Salt Lake. No, you don't want to do that.
Come watch me.
You want to come watch this.
Yeah. Happy trails to the wait for the Hall of Fame for Carlos Beltran and Andruw Jones. The two center fielders earned more than 75% of the vote to gain induction into the Hall. Jones got 78%, Beltran 84%. Clearly, the baseball writers that have taken such a strong stand against performance-enhancing drugs are not taking the same stance against the Astros sign-stealing scandal, of which Beltran was reportedly a ringleader. Andruw Jones was a great center fielder. But where were the votes for Torrey Hunter this year, who got just 5.1%? Or Jim Edmonds in 2016, who got just 2.5%, automatically booted off the ballot?
Fair question. But I'm going to ask you a question now.
Quick.
It seems as if you hold the steroid era and the Astros cheating thing equally. I don't at all.
I know
One
you
means
don't.
Nothing to
We
me.
have talked about this.
Yeah.
No. I hold it in higher esteem than you do. Let's go to the big finish
Let's
quickly.
do it.
The Mets traded with the White Sox for Lewis Robert Jr. Significant?
He's a big talent, but spends a lot of time underachieving, it seems to me. Mike McDaniel is reportedly joining the Chargers as an offensive coordinator, DOC. Good fit?
Yeah, because he's got Justin Herbert and he believes in the run game. UCLA upset number 4 Purdue. Is that a big deal?
No. Just another night, a Tuesday night in the Big Ten. No. A judge ruled that Duke quarterback Darian Mensah can enter the portal, but not sign until a ruling on Duke's request for an injunction. What is that?
Nobody understands what's going on. Nobody. By the way, another night in the Big Ten with UCLA.
Yeah.
That's funny. Last one. Naomi Osaka back on the court at 3 a.m. You
You
intrigued?
know who my favorite tennis player is.
I know.
You know.
We're out of time. We'll try to do better the next time. Shirley Spearman, happy birthday.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, knuckleheads. And now, your Sports Center.
Another night in the Big Ten with UCLA.
Here we go.
Turn it over to Tony and Mike with PTI's bonus segment.
All right, Wilbon, how desirable is the Bills head coaching vacancy?
Let's see. There's 32 jobs in the NFL, and one of those, you got Josh Allen. So I don't know if somebody called me, I'm picking up the phone for that job. And I know that Josh Allen has not been as far as everybody wants him to be, and there's all this, drama around Josh Allen, none of which he really creates because he had a, off game on Saturday.
That's right.
Josh Allen is good or great almost all the time, so I want that job. And I'm going to press whoever is acquiring the talent there to get more around Josh Allen, because it seems like he's got about as much as John Elway used to have when Elway was getting to the Super Bowl one step further and not winning.
Yeah, he
can't
lost
do
the first,
everything.
He lost the first three and then won the last 2. Yeah, I mean, I agree with this on Josh Allen. Josh Allen has been to the playoffs 7 straight years. I understand he's not been to the Super Bowl, but he's been to the playoffs 7 straight years. Tell me who else has been to the playoffs 7 straight years. Now, I also want Lamar Jackson. I want the job in Baltimore, and he hasn't been to the playoffs in 7 straight years because he wasn't to the playoffs this year. If there are other jobs out there, Giants' job just been filled. Is it as good as having Josh Allen? No. Cleveland, Arizona, Miami. No, it's not. When you walk into a situation where you have a quarterback of that ilk who is that good, it's a very, very desirable job. Sure.
Okay, so now the question, but that takes us back to why this was vacant. That you got rid of McDermott, why? And we were given this reason that because they lost the game in Denver. That enough is a reason to fire McDermott. That seems insane to me.
Do you not equate that to John Harbaugh being fired?
No, I don't. No.
Why not?
No, because they were in it this year, Tony, at a point where a controversial call keeps him from being employed this week on the practice field right now. You want to get rid of him?
I think it is clear, because McDermott was there a long time.
He was.
I think it's clear that the owner of the team looked at this and said, we've gone as far as we can go with this particular fellow, and we got to bring in someone else as long as we have Josh Allen.
Let's see if he's right. That's it. We're done. Back to you.